All right, let's get into our first discussion of the day. Now, experts say an average person spends almost 1/3 of their lives in the workplace. With this huge amount of time spent, employers would want a high rate of productivity, efficiency, and positive output from their workers. But this could only be so if there are health and safety measures put in place. It is the employer's responsibility to ensure that the workplace is safe and healthy for its employees. The employees, in turn, must ensure that they adhere to safety measures put in place. Now, with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, it has become more crucial in safeguarding the work environment and ensuring every worker is armed well in order to reduce injuries and, in worst case scenarios, death. The emphasis for the commemoration of the World Day for Safety and Health at Workplace is to prioritize the health of employees. The theme for this year's observance is Act Together to Build a Positive Safety and Health Culture. So joining me in the studio is the CEO, Occupational Health and Safety Managers and President, OSH Africa. Yeah, hey, Eden. Now the OSH Africa, I was trying to, is it a word? Is it an acronym? You know, and all of that.
Occupational Safety and Health Africa.
Oh yeah, OSH Africa. I like the name. It's just,
Yeah.
Good to see you though. It's been a while.
I've been, when you don't know what to do, you be undercover. So
Though I believe at times like this, someone was saying that you go back to the drawing board, even for the family, you go back to the drawing board. At your workplace, you go back to the drawing board. So just keep re-strategizing. So I believe you were back at the drawing board. Anyway, let's get into this issue today. Talking about the safety at the workplace is so crucial at this time.
Absolutely.
And like my introduction was saying, it is the responsibility of the employer to ensure they provide some certain things, and then the obligation of the employees to ensure that these safety guidelines are adhered to. But let's start from even the understanding of what these things should be. Do we have an adequate grasp of what safety should be and all of that? Because in our societies, we're very used to, it happens, and then, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, is everybody okay? Sorry, we'll pay for all the bills for injury and hospital, this and that. That's what we're used to.
Yeah. We're a religious society, and whatever happens, we first say, it's not my portion. And that also has extended to the workplace. But back to where you started, it is not just the duty of the employer and the employee. It's a tripartite communication, tripartite engagement and dialogue between the government, the employer, employer representative, and the employee. So this how it works. So that's why social dialogue has become a key conversation under the ILO new discussion, because there has to be due consultation, sharing of information to make decisions on the things that commonly concerns us all. The truth is, if it concerns us all, you can't make the decision on my behalf. So if it concerns us all, we all have to be involved in social dialogue, in making these decisions for our own personal safety in going forward. And that's why the theme for this year became very, very crucial. The truth is, we cannot anymore shy away from the fact that the hazards and risks are prominent in the workplace. Even in our homes, we have risk, we have hazard. But for us to wake up to those challenges and anticipate what could happen, forecast what could happen, and try to look at how we can mitigate them before they happen. That's what we're talking about. The truth is, you can't mitigate what you do not understand. There's need for us to understand those hazards. I mean, what risk they actually present. Then we'll look out for a way to see how do we prevent them. It is easier to prevent a hazard than managing an accident as a result of the hazard. And if you look at it even cost-wise, it's even cheaper to prevent the hazard, because by the time the person get accidented or get ill because of exposure to that hazard, you have a lot of costs attached to it. The person is no longer in the workplace. The person spends more time in the hospitals. But we also need to start discussing the psychological effect of an accident on or ill health as a result of work on employees' family. Because we don't just talk about employees anymore. By the time we have an employee, by extension, their family members
Exactly.
become
Depending
part of
on
us.
him.
Yes,
Mhm.
become
Or
part
her.
of us. Exactly.
Depending
Because
on- yeah.
when we take people give us their family members to work for us, they are on lease to us. And we must understand that that's the social contract. And the time that these people are with us in our workplaces, every employer owes it as a duty of care in ensuring that we protect these people. They are returned back to their family that leads them to us the same way they were leased to us. But by the time we take these people into our workplaces, we treat them, and there are no social safety nets, and they get injured, some get trapped in. Just imagine a man that leaves his house and is going to work and hugs his wife at the exit of his apartment and tell my wife, prepare my favorite for me, I'll be back at 5 p.m. Then about 11 o'clock in the morning, there's a call. We are sorry, we lost him. How do you just picture that scenario? How do you manage that? So it's very important that any work that we do, have it in mind that every work is hazardous. Whether you do it at home, you do it on the street, public place, every work is hazardous. Before we embark on any work or any job, we must first look at what are the risks inherent in this job I'm going to get involved
All
in.
right. Now, I'm just trying to imagine how complex the issue of looking at, safety in the workplace would look like. Is it the building? Is it the car that is parked there? Is it, is it the location of this? But anything can be hazardous depending on, but where do we really start from? If you're looking at the issue of safety in the workplace, it is possible this can happen this way, or this can fall the other way, or this tree can, and things like that.
You start from the security posts. So
Okay.
that's why we say safety starts from the gatehouse to the boardroom. So everybody has to get involved. When you look at it from the gatehouse to the boardroom, it means, there's a stretch of involvement. It can happen from anywhere in the company. And that's why what you do is, firstly, take every component of the work that we do, and let's try to do what you call job hazard analysis or job risk analysis, whichever we want to call it. Then what you do when you do this, what happens is that by this analysis, you're able to pull out, expunge, yes, these are the likely things that could happen in this process I'm going to use. When you know the likely things that are going to happen, then the responsibility right now is, when it happens, who could get hurt and to what severity. Now, what we are doing now, we are doing risk assessment.
But who does that analysis? Is it the employee? Is it the organization? Or a consultant has to be hired to put all that together?
That's why we tell you, train your people on health and safety. Okay. A consultant is only hired to look at this thing because you want an external perspective to what you already have. It is easier for us to do this thing in-house. You train your people on health and safety. The truth is that people only function within the capacity at which they are trained. So when you train them, okay, this is this job you do. So by the time the person is doing his job, one thing he's thinking about is his personal safety, the safety of his colleagues, and the safety of the place he works for. So by the time you train him, what he's doing, any job he wants to undertake, the first thing is to pause for a few seconds and do what you call process thinking. What could be the risk inherent in this job? If you know the risk, then you're able to mitigate it. So if you can't anticipate the risk, you can't mitigate it. So this is why we always advise people, you train your employees. Most time we feel training employees in health and safety is an extra cost. No, it's a part of the business, because it is easier and cheaper to train employees. They know what to do, because at the end of the day, when you allow your business to be raised down, maybe by infant or by fire, every employee has a resume. They just move. But remember, you are the investor, you are the owner of the business. You stand to lose so much. So when you invest in safety and health in your system, what you're doing is that you are cushioning the risks that could happen, and you train your people to help you manage the system. So at the end of the day, head or tail, you don't lose.
What are some of the very common hazards that can affect safety, in our contemporary society that we live in, that you can mention for us to have a grasp?
In the workplace, you mean?
Yes, in the workplace.
Let's look at the issue of trip and fall. It's the commonest. In our own homes, we could have it. And most time we have.
In fact, it happened to me sometime. I was, because we, building houses now, there are tiles all over the place. And then especially in the bathroom when you're going in, and then you just feel, you're just singing, and then maybe sometimes you have your earpiece and then you're singing a song into the bathroom, and then you get to the bathroom, somehow, phew, bah, because you were not expecting
what
it.
you just mentioned is very crucial. We got a call some time ago. Somebody, he came from overseas and was doing some work in Nigeria and was in one of the hotels. He was using the bathtub. Bathtub, as a matter of fact, is one of the most risky things we should have at home. Mostly when you're not having people who are going above a certain age or people who live alone. In the bathroom, that's very risky. The guy sleep, and what saved him was that there was a phone, there was an intercom in that bathroom. He couldn't stand up. He called the reception. That was how they came to his aid, and we took him to the hospital. He spent about 2-3 days in intensive care. So these are critical issues you look at. Like I was talking about the trip and fall. In our homes, I mean, even in our workplace, we have wires littered everywhere. These wires can be well tied, harnessed together, put together in a proper way that it doesn't pose risk to us.
There are even trunking pipes
from them,
where,
exactly.
We shouldn't see wires.
Now we have places where we have rocks, and the rocks are untidy. You could pick somebody's step and the person falls. We have water on the truth is that when we have water, no matter how little it is on tiles, it becomes hazardous. So the truth is that there cannot be accident without hazard. If there is a hazard in a place and there's no exposure, no one is there, can't create any hazard. So long as there's a hazard and there's an exposure, there's every likelihood that accident will happen. So these are things we should look out for. Even in our workplaces, when we talk about sick building syndrome, most time there is a certain intensity that life should be within the office that you can say it is appropriate and safe. We are all using systems these days. I mean, we're all even awkward body posture. I mean, when you talk about even the pandemic right now, where we have teleworking as a critical part of our daily life now, of all workers, two key things have become so prominent: mental health burden among workers and poor economic conditions among workers. Because now we didn't have the plan to go work from home, but now we are home. People are working from their coffee seats. People are working from their dining seats, and these are not ergonomically configured to fit into their body structure. So they spend longer hours working from those structure, and what they do is that they put their body in an awkward body posture. So you find out that at the end of the day, they go to bed, their body is riddled with pain, and pain has been linked to high level of insomnia. When you're going through pain as a result of awkward body posture, it interferes with your sleep. And your sleep interferes with your productivity at the end of it, because that's what you call the circadian rhythm. I mean, it's called the body clock. When you don't have enough hours of sleep you ought to have in a day, during the night, and you come into a day, the circadian rhythm it's just like the sleep you are owing. Something walks into the day with you and say that there's about 40 minutes sleep that you are owing. I've come to
you're owing me.
That's why you see people say that, and they have what you call micro sleeping in meetings. But the truth is that how much of this do we need?
Micro sleeping.
Yes. Wow. You find out that somebody's in a meeting and you find out he's dozing. There's a governor that's very there's a governor.
Hey, don't go there. Don't go there.
I won't. There's a governor that's fond of doing it. So they sit in a meeting, you find out that the person is just dozing. Obviously, this is somebody that is suffering from sleep deprivation. It's not having enough sleep. And now you come into a meeting, you can't have concentration because the sleep you're owing is interfering with your productivity within the day, so you're dozing.
We also see it in churches. Where,
it happens so well.
And then you're receiving ministration.
And the AC blows
you're meditating on the word day and night, and then the usher comes, sorry, sir. Sorry. Yeah. Praise the Lord.
It happens every day. So those are the things we look at. But while we look at risk and accident, it's also important that we also focus on occupational related diseases. So that these are some of the issues that we're not looking at before, but it becoming a huge concern. Issues are like I talk about like sleep deprivation because overwork, overdraw, and all have you, and now it's becoming a huge issue, causing psychosocial hazard to people. People can't think properly. I mean, you loaded somebody with the kind of work that is beyond his coping capacity. Stress is becoming an order of the day, and these are critical issues we should be looking at. So most times, when we use our body like this all through our productive age, but remember, Bible said the night cometh. Remember, if the evening of your life is going to come, we want to see you at the end of the day when you retire, and you still look, at least, if not how you used to be, but something close to who you were. But people retire, they become a total contrast of who we know them to be. Why? Because where they worked or the kind of job they do, they
Sapped
used
a lot of,
exactly. And even if they pay you a retirement, because you didn't give attention to your health and safety, what you get in retirement, you now use to start pursuing health. So where you're still within the active work age, we admonish you, take cognizance of your safety and your health now, because after retirement, you still have life afterwards. If you don't do that, the time you spend pursuing money right now, you get the money on the long run. But you spend that money pursuing health in return.
At the end of the day, what's the
it doesn't make any sense. So this is what we're talking about in occupational safety. And
when it comes to now, because a lot of people are busy training themselves in either you are a journalist, you were trained in that light, you are an accountant, you're trained in that light, you are a medical doctor, trained in those professions. And this area of issue of safety, which we have to look into, now it looks like a brand new awareness or the realization of the fact that, there's something you guys we have to draw to your attention and all of that. But how expensive can this be for employers to begin to make it conscious or make it part of the system where new people come in as a way of inducting them?
Correct.
Talk to us from that
window. See, let's take it from how expensive an accident is. If you think safety is expensive, you could as well try an accident. You know that the cost is it's not close. But it's important, I think it's important that at the point of induction, safety become a key issue that we must undergo at the induction process in the office. But I even think before then, and this is what we're advocating, and I'm happy we had very strong discussion yesterday, and this came out. We should start introducing safety to graduate school curriculum, undergraduate curriculum. I mean, even if it's the third year or fourth year, they do maybe a safety course one course in year 3 and one in year 4. What are we doing? Because these are the guys that are going to go out into the field, into the workplace. They need to understand what health and safety is before they move into the workplace. This is a better approach to it. But outside that, as people come into the work, in as much as we're able to look at what's their qualification, what's their experience, it's all good. But what is their health status? Most time we see people come into the workplace, pre-employment medical evaluation is never done for them. So what you do is that people come into the workplace, you don't know their health status. So you inherit things that are underlying illnesses in them. Over time, they work with you for a short while. They are going in and out of hospital. You are the one losing. But those that are coming in, let's give them health and safety induction, health and safety training. Like you mentioned, every profession has inherent risk. Accounting has its own risk. Journalism has its own risk. I mean, I also support in World Day for Health and Safety at Work for journalists. I mean, every November. But one thing we realized, I mean, you remember Kevin Carter? I mean, the guy, the South African journalist who committed suicide. But just let's take that as a key scenario. What happened to him was just what he saw at the war front where he went to deliver consumables, and he saw a little child that emaciated out of malnutrition, as she was a war victim, and Vulture, knowing that girl would die after a short while, Vulture was just hovering around, waiting for that little child to die so that he can feast on that child.
That picture went viral.
That sight that Kevin Carter saw, he couldn't handle it. When he went back to his country, it kept running through his mind, and we know how he committed suicide. So what this tells us is that, yes, there's risk in the job of journalism. I mean, what he sees, people that go to cover war, you see people being shot at random. Yeah. How do we create psychological support for these people as they come in? Do we give them counselors, mental health psychologists or physicians that will take them through, debrief them, ensure that they are able to overcome those trauma they went through and able to face life again? But these are some of the key things that we have in that. So every profession, as you have talked, okay, will you say a nurse shouldn't give injections right now, or a doctor should not do CS because there's HIV/AIDS? No, these are the risks inherent in their job. I mean, people that have HIV/AIDS and they are pregnant and they have to do cesarean section, doctor will take the risk and do it because this is part of the risk in his job. What he has to do is that he must put all protective measures in place in ensuring that he doesn't get affected or infected by the reason of doing this job. So these are the key things that we have surrounding safety. So it's an encompassing thing.
I'm just looking at everything. Everything is there. But talk to us from the window of something that we often neglect diet?
I
I know you're not a nutritionist, but this is connect. You were talking about the issue of sleep, you call it micro sleep.
microsleep. No, as a matter of fact, I
Microsleep.
actually did a course in health and wellness. So
Very
it's
good.
My area as well.
The point there is because of the imbalance in the way work is done these days. You give us a scenario of some persons working. This is supposed to be my dining table and all of that, but I've turned it to my office because I'm working from home.
Yeah.
You know, and so on. And because you work like that and you're still within the house, sometimes your normal breakfast, lunch, and dinner is distorted. Your issue of, okay, I wake up at 6 o'clock and then I'm supposed to sleep at all those things are distorted. And because of that distortion, it also affects the way you have appetite to eat and the timing you eat. And then sometimes you're eating at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. when you're grabbing a bite and then you need to go and sleep. How does also
two things come out from what you were trying to say.
All right.
And this on the long run affects us, adversely. We talk about physical inactivity and poor dietary pattern. These are the things that actually cause.
That is the word.
These are the things that
poor
actually
dietary pattern. Very good.
These are the things that actually cause, high level of obesity, and on the long run, it causes issues that have to do with cardiovascular issues, diabetes, and all have you. So it all bothers. But the truth is, we need to eat, not just eat in a healthy manner. It is not the amount of food that you eat.
Please underline that again.
It is not the amount of food that you eat.
Oh my God.
It's the nutritional value that's in the food that you eat. As a matter of fact, research have said that French people, they eat more food than we eat. That's why you talk about French cuisine. But when you look at the body fit, they have more body fit than we have. Why? Because they eat every minute. But they eat little food every minute. But you see an African man, we sit down and cancel one big bowl up on the dam and some soup that's ridden with so much palm oil. From there, we move to the bed. We go to sleep. The truth is that avoid heavy food if you can in the evening. The time that you have to burn out that fat, maybe lunch, it may be okay, but we just need to learn how to eat properly. Not just eating properly. Eating properly is not enough. You also need to learn how to get physically active. Most time, now that we're doing teleworking, some people sit from morning. I went to do a work for a bank some time ago, and I saw a woman in their canteen because I had to go and have lunch. The kind of food she ate, you think she was trying to commit suicide. It was so much. But the question is that she doesn't have enough physical activity to burn down this food. Sedentary has become a very big issue right now that is fueling increased body weight. The bigger your waist circumference, the more susceptible you are to disease. We must maintain body size that is fit in our own overall best interest.
It's okay. Good advice. However, I just wish that the farmer in Boku will be able to listen to what you because the point is, you're going to work. And then because of the economic situation, just load the pounded yam.
Have you seen bricklayers eat?
No, don't go there. Hey, then thank you so much for coming on the
pleasure,
program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Right.